We have a special meeting called, and the show will last at least 43 minutes. Because we want to make sure that we don't show any disrespect to people celebrating Rosh Hashanah, which starts at 6:45. So Craig?
Yes, sir.
You're on.
Good evening, everybody. Craig Consigli, Superintendent, Milford Public Schools. We have a few things in front of you today. We have a couple of warrant articles, one in the amount of $160,000. If you look at this sheet here, it's the one with all the capital items on it. On the back is the information for the warrant articles for your reference. This one and then the number 1 and number 2 are related. They're related to the phone systems in our school. We are end of life at our phones. The first one is for some access points, but to begin some of that licensing for the servers. The Cisco phone server that we have and the current software has exceeded the end of life, and that means that Cisco will no longer provide any kind of service or updates. So if the phones go down, the phones are down. So this one's kind of a critical need for us. This is the first phase of it, the 160, and then 2 is for next year, 550. That was originally on our plan for 750. The latest numbers, though, are showing us that it would be 550. But again, that's not for this year. We just wanted to show you them together. I guess one thing I do want everybody to know is we asked for, I believe it was $320,000 last year for the literacy proposal.
Yep.
We won a number of grants that allowed us to purchase some of the materials that we had on that article. At this point, it looks like at the end of the year, we're going to be turning back between $160,000 and $180,000. So good news, like I said, we got those grants. So I don't know what you want to do with that, just information, but it kind of fits with
I want to
this.
say thank you, and that'll go right to the general fund.
Right. But
Thank you.
we're not ready yet. We're waiting to make sure we have everything, then we'll turn it back at the end. So I don't know if anybody has questions about the phone system and the phone servers.
Well, the phone system's been on the capital plan. So
As these other ones, the 160, there was a few different ones that we bundled together.
So the total is 160
Yes, we
on the capital plan.
correct, and we crossed off a couple.
And the Earthwise, no, that's for Stacy.
That's different. I'm gonna do that one in a second.
For the background information,
For which
the
one?
phones.
That's on the back of this one.
Yeah, those are the questions. Do we have any cut sheets or descriptions of what you're looking to buy?
I don't have that with me.
We don't need it with you, but could you send it to me?
Sure.
Because we've made a commitment to the residents that anything that comes before this committee, that kind of background information,
So-
will be posted on the website.
All right. On this one, we started doing that, so it wasn't done in the past. So like the Stacy HVAC, we're gonna give this to you digital, and we're hoping that every one of these will have a link to, and it'll have all of this, like, for example, all of this information will be linked into
Okay.
that. But we'll do that. We'll link it to the 120 and then the 40.
Any questions on that? Bill?
Is your approach to your telecoms consistent with the town?
Yes.
Okay. So IT is on board with the town? Is comfortable with what you're doing?
The town IT?
Right.
So, our IT and town IT are talking all the time. I can't say with 100% certainty that what we're doing is exactly what the town is doing. I don't know when, actually, I don't know when the town purchased their phone system. But I do know that they talk to each other. So,
That's a good thing.
yes.
You have a motion?
Make a favorable motion.
You have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? We will recommend favorable. Now the big one.
Okay, so I would say it was, at some point last year, committee members had asked our school department to do an assessment of the HVAC at Stacy. They received numerous complaints about the heating system at Stacy, whether it was cold rooms or fluctuating heat. There was all kinds of just different complaints. So this past summer, we did do an assessment of the heating system. You have that right here in front of you. That's the Stacy Middle School Building Infrastructure Report. It runs through basically all of the heating systems and components at Stacy. I guess, spoiler alert, it's a 30-year-old building and the heating system hasn't, well, it's a 30-year-old renovation and the heating system hasn't been updated in 30 years. So all the heating there is end of life. Some of it in better shape than other components. So a rough estimate, it's not, it depends, I guess, on how you phase this in, but rough estimate, cost to replace most or all of the components would come to a total of $7 million. We've worked with the vendor to create this, a four-phase phase-in process. The first phase, where's first phase? First phase is on page 1. The first phase of 2.2 million, as it was described to me, is the most bang for your buck. So being able to fix the most components to affect the most area at that point, at that price point. Science labs were a big place that where there were a lot of fluctuations. That involves a couple of roof units that need to get replaced. Music rooms, it's basically music rooms in that side of the of Stacy. The corridors, all of those are all on the roof. There's a number of exhaust fans and then some duct work that needs to be done. I'm not going to pretend to know what all of these different components are, but I know they're needed. So that would be phase 1. And again, we could mix and match and do a little more, do a little less. This is just one way that this vendor thought that we could break this out and get the most bang for the buck. Phase 2 involves some AC, but I think that was an admin, just the different areas of air conditioning in the building. But air conditioning isn't just for cooling, air conditioning is also for heating. So those are also important areas to be done. I believe those are also roof units. Phase 3 is the 32-unit ventilators. Those are classroom units, the box type unit that you see that goes in the classroom. There are 32 of those in the whole school. There's 32 because the other different classrooms are run by the heat on the roof. So that's a phase. That one, that was the one that we were originally thinking of doing. But he recommended that we continue to fix them when they break down. You can still, although it's difficult, we can still order parts. They are end of life, and if there is one or two that fail and cannot be replaced at all, then we replace that one or two. But right now, they all seem to be working. But it's going to be touch and go. Hopefully we make it. And then phase 4 would just be some different controls, the gym area, cafe area, and then some new cabinet heaters. So 4 phases. You can choose to do 2 phases together. You could choose to do all 4 phases. You could do 1 phase. You could say I want to do phase 2 and not phase 1 first. It's kind of what's available, I guess. But it all needs to be done.
Now, phase 1, that's high vac, taking care of heat and air conditioning.
No, the air condition is phase 2.
So there's no air conditioning in phase 1.
No, there's not a lot of, there's minimal area of the building that's air conditioned for cooling. You're looking at like the auditorium, the office areas, the library, maybe a couple other spots, but not a lot of areas over there.
Now, you said he recommended. Have we gotten more than one person to look at this? And
Yeah, so between our maintenance person, Carlos, I don't know if you've met Carlos.
Yes.
Who does have an expertise in this area, and then this Earthwise company.
So to add in, yeah, we went out to bid for estimates for the cost for this type of assessment. So certainly, because it was a $10,000 assessment, you can only go with one vendor, right? So to your point, where did we get multiple? No, because we went with the vendor that we felt was going to provide us with the best scope of work for this assessment process. So and they came up with this report. And then obviously, that also includes Carlos, who has a lot of.
well, I have a lot of respect for Carlos, so his opinion carries a lot of weight. But I just want to make sure we're not going with one company and we didn't consider others.
We did consider others because we got quotes from others for the assessment piece.
So with the design, would you go out to bid for like these phases then?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So then they go out to bid for the,
Different
So we're not
phases.
locked into this one
No.
company for,
No, it could be less than this.
yeah, no, I'm just saying,
yeah, I got
phase
lost
2,
too. I
we have
thought
to
this
go out
was
to
the-
bid for.
Oh, sorry.
staying with this guy and you were going to stick with.
No. So they do the assessment, they don't actually do the work either, though. They work with companies to
Oh,
do the
okay.
work.
Thanks. We just got twisted around on that.
Sorry.
And I think it's important to add, as you see on page 16, remember a couple of years ago now, or almost a year ago, the central heating aspect was upgraded, right? So we invested, we got a grant, and then we also had a town article where we upgraded the kind of the central boilers. So that's producing that hot water that's going up to all those individual classrooms.
Yeah.
It's in a sense that all those little individual units, much like at a hotel, those are the ones that are end of life, so the hot water is being produced, it's getting to those units, but just all of the internal components of those smaller units is where we're seeing a lot of failures. And then in addition to, right, you have all the air handling units along the roof that just are susceptible to, the hot sun and the cold winters. So they just, their lifespan is.
Well, 30 years. And most of these units have a 25-year life expectancy. So if we've gotten 30 years out of it, we got our money out of it. The phasing, I mean, if it has to be done, it has to be done. I gotta talk to Zach about, there's a little project that we're also talking about that's
Yes.
gonna need funding in 3 or 4 years. So we have to look at how we're gonna balance both.
So I guess I'd like to speak to this plan too. What I can say about this plan is that after going through an assessment of the heating system, we felt like moving forward, we need to have an assessment done at all of our buildings, except for the high school, but Brookside, Memorial, even Woodland. Woodland's 10 years old now, just so that we can figure out where it would need to land on here for you all to have information, because right now, we have no idea, honestly, where we stand with all of those. So we want to get an assessment done, get it on here, so that we can plan. We also talked about we had a roof assessment, they call it a moisture survey done at the high school. It's too far gone to do anything really with at the high school. The only way that you can guarantee that you won't have any leaks is if you redo the whole thing, and that's a $10 million plus ask, so we won't do that. We did patch some areas over the spring, but we're not gonna know if it did anything until the winter, because there's basically you'd have to peel it all back, take everything, there's all different components underneath that roof. And there's I'm not sure what kind of a layer it is, but there's a layer on the inside that's just full of moisture, and it freezes, and then when it starts to thaw, that's when the water ends up into the building. So we won't figure that out though until next spring, and then we'll have to do what we did this time, which is patch certain areas and see if it takes. We are gonna do another assessment of the area above the gym, the lobbyway, that had some leaks. So we're gonna assess that in the fall and see if we can make some fixes there. But we're gonna do that sort of a survey over at Stacy, at Brookside, and at Memorial to see what we're looking at those buildings too. And again, the plan is to have anything that's on this list, to have a link to it so you can look at it and you can have information about it.
Yeah, my worry is fitting this new project of $7 million.
Yeah, I understand.
With the new high school, some things are gonna get tight if we can do them at all.
I understand.
So,
I think at the same time, it makes me encouraged that you want to try to do the assessments, and you're going to spend a little money doing this, but what you're also going to do is head off some surprises, right? Doesn't mean we're going to have the money, but at least you'll see these things come in advance, right? So I think, staying on top of the infrastructure is a pretty good idea. Again, I don't know how it fits into the plan, because, cash is going to get tight here, but it's better than
oh no,
getting
I
surprised.
like the idea of doing the assessments. Because to find out at the last second that we got a $7 million problem doesn't benefit anybody.
No,
In the past, we've had money to cover surprises.
but the fact of the matter is, this shouldn't have been a surprise. So, I don't know.
Should not have been a surprise.
No, I think that we should have did an assessment like this
Oh, I
a while
agree,
ago.
but we never heard about it.
I know.
We're reacting to what, Carlos and his team have been just reacting to all these problems. So that's what spearheaded, okay, we need a full assessment of Stacy Building. And that's where we are. This full assessment obviously has now come with a price where it's in a reactive state with what we have, but we're trying to be proactive with Memorial, Brookside, and Woodland.
Any questions, Tracy?
No, not right now.
No, and I would say let's get these assessments quickly. Because again, we're going to be asking for the funding for the new high school. And who knows we don't know what that's going to eat up yet.
What was the cost to do this assessment?
You have that number?
10, right? Yeah. Well, 10,000, give or take.
And is this the only company that's capable of doing those assessments?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we had at least 3 that bid on the project. What this company turned in, we felt like was going to give us exactly what we wanted. Sort of what the other companies proposed was expensive. It didn't exactly, the report didn't look like it was going to give us exactly what we wanted.
Okay.
There isn't, you can't look up, you can't go to like the, I don't know, on the internet and say, we want X report. You have to kind of work with the vendor and say, this is what we're looking for a report. These are the kinds of systems we have. Can you give us an idea of how you would give us that sort of assessment?
Right. So in terms of assessing all of the schools in the system, is that $10,000 a good benchmark to look at?
For each school?
Right.
I'm betting, I don't know for sure, but I'd be willing to bet that Memorial and Brookside is not going to be that expensive because they're smaller buildings. Woodland, on the other hand, I don't know, be more. This is a bigger building.
It's only 10 years old.
It's only 10 years old.
I mean, Memorial, we just did some work on the roof a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, we replaced the library section, I think.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track to say, let's get an assessment and let's figure out what we have to do. And then figure out when we can do it. My biggest concern is if we phase this out over 4 years, you're gonna start running into the financing question.
You provided a lot of detail, and I'm kind of flipping through it live, so I might not have captured everything in here. But that's okay. But, so I'm just prefacing the question. So there's back at the very back, I'm kind of doing the trick of reading the end first. There's a bit about incentives, which I think is interesting, because the National Grid, we could have some incentives out there. I think that, just as that, observation, like looking for as many incentives and grants as we can for these projects is attractive, because like, these are going to save a ton of energy. I mean, I'm sure the old stuff we have is ancient. I see a lot of references to variable speed pumps and blowers, stuff like that, which is going to save a ton of electricity. So, yeah, anytime we can find grants. I think, I get confused about what type of resources there are in town hall. It's like, I don't know who does it these days to help with like looking for grants and that kind of stuff, but please,
So
as much as you can.
Carlos was meeting with the, I didn't hear from him today, but he was meeting with the National Grid rep today.
Oh,
So
great.
hopefully we have some answers.
That's good. So what's in front of us today? Is it just, is phase one on the article?
We didn't, I think we left it blank, because we didn't know. You don't know where you want to be.
Well, I would think we want to address phase one for this meeting in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And then take time to discuss phase 2, 3, and 4 in depth. I mean, not that $2 million is trivial, but if we put it off a year, what's the downside?
Well, anything that we do is going to take time. We got to order it. So, for example, when I first started with this, I looked at the 32-unit ventilators because I figured, oh yeah, you could just get them off the shelf and stick them in, but it's not that easy, I guess. They got to build each one individually somewhere else and then bring it in. And then do all the pipe fitting and all that. So to put 32 of those in, the Earthwise folks estimated 2 months. That's like a summer project. But it would take 2 to 3 months even to order and get them in. So I'm not sure what a rooftop unit would take. I'm sure that's
The
not.
question is, if we put it off a year, what's the downside?
If you put it off a year, I'm saying you're probably going to put it off for 2 because we got to order it, right?
Well, if it's put off for a year of implementation, even if we order it today, you're putting it off a year. I'm saying putting it off an incremental year.
It's just, we have students and faculty in
Just
that
rolling the
building,
dice.
right? And we're continually to chase the breakdowns of the systems, right? We saw at the high school a couple of years ago, right, where we lost heat for a certain amount of time because of a catastrophic failure to the system. So as you read through this report, some of these units, being that are 30 years old, are we at that catastrophic failure point, right? So if we were to delay, Carlos and his team has been, again, doing a great job at being able to chase and doing those reactionary fixes. This plan is more, is that proactive, let's get things replaced, changed, and new. So, again, delaying it is just, to me, you're rolling the dice of the faculty and the
And
students
it's
that are
heat.
in there.
It's heat, it's not just air conditioning.
And we're already,
Because you can roll the dice with air conditioning,
Yeah.
but we already learned the lesson of rolling the dice with heat.
Yeah. We have the system, we're able to track of what's going on for the incident IQ and kind of categorizing is it what the problems are. And we're seeing a lot of heating problems, or, just in a sense, climate problems at Stacy.
As homeowners, we have the ability to contact Eversource or National Grid and have them come into our homes to do a survey, which I'm equating to this assessment. Do you have the same ability on their nickel to have them come into your schools and perform that assessment?
I'll have to ask Carlos tomorrow. I don't know what they talked about today. I don't see why not.
Right.
Sir, I want to make a correction. The assessment is 18,000. The roof was 10.
Excuse me, next month.
Thanks.
But it's still short money. Not that 20 grand isn't
Right.
a large number, but compared to 2 million,
Well, if we can get them to do it on their dime.
Yeah.
that's even better.
Right.
Questions?
I guess my last question is really just back to the article. So the article right now is written with, I guess, if this is the language, it's written with a blank for the dollar value?
Yes.
I think, has the warrant closed yet?
The warrant is closed.
Okay.
But you can add the number in
Right. Okay, that makes
at
sense.
town meeting.
So,
Once you put a number in, you can't
can't
go
change
above it.
yeah,
You can change it down,
yeah, okay.
but you can't go up. So this would be legit, that you could add the 2.2, and the FinCom report would have the 2.2 in it.
So presuming that the vote on this goes favorable, what would the process be? Is it to talk to Zach to figure out what we think we can afford in this, or we've already had that conversation?
The process would be, we recommend favorable or unfavorable to the Finance Committee.
Okay.
The full committee then, if they recommend favorable, goes to town meeting, and in the process, in the middle of that, we're figuring out when we can afford to pay it and how.
Okay. That makes sense to me, because it,
Because we have
just want to make sure I know what we're
free
approving, or what
cash
the
of
process
6
would be.
million,
Yep.
but that goes pretty quick when you're taking $2 million
Yeah.
chunks out of it.
Yep. I'm just asking because I know they've tried to break it into bite-sized pieces, but that also changes the scope of work in each of the pieces. And,
Yeah, but the bite size are whales.
yeah, well, they're big bites, I get
They're
it.
big bites. It's not like this $100,000, which is still a big bite, but
But I want to make sure that however we get through this process together, that the dollar values that get to town meeting are something that makes sense operationally. You know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because sometimes
No, it
it's
would
like, it doesn't
be-
fit into.
it would be funding phase 1 at 2.2 million.
Okay.
And then having discussions in depth about the next 3 to make sure that it's something we have to do, and then figuring out how to fund it is a secondary item. Any other questions?
Make a favorable motion for it.
Second.
All in favor? Favorable motion. Biggest thing now is for next year. Well, this is going to be big to get this through,
Very much.
but for next year to look at what needs we really have. Because if we're going to come back for another, we budget 1.7 million for total capital. If 1.5 goes to this project, doesn't leave a lot. Invitation to speak? Do you want to speak it? Well then, favorite motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Okay, motion to adjourn is not debatable. All in favor? Meeting is adjourned before Rosh Hashanah.